Hello, my name is Justin Kunz, and I would like to tell you about my implementation project. For my capstone, I was investigating into simulation learning to see if it is an effective method to teach aviation administration students valuable safety concepts. This is important because aviation administration students play a vital role in aviation. Aviation administration students are typically major behind-the-scenes workers in aviation, such as air traffic controllers, meteorologists, and more. The point is that if they fail their job, it could be serious. So, to help them learn effectively, I decided to create a simulation to instill valuable safety concepts in them. This simulation is designed for Aviation 361, which is the airport management class. I felt most qualified to make this simulation since this is my desired future career field, and I have studied more about this field than any of the other aviation administration fields. This simulation features 13 different topics. 13 different scenarios. The reason this has 13 different scenarios is because it corresponds to the 13 topics of Aviation 361's. Now, this presentation is special because it features a program called Macros. Macros enables special features and coding in PowerPoint. You'll see some of these features as I present. Due to YouTube time constraints and other limitations, I will only be able to feature a couple scenarios. I will now present the introduction and a few scenarios. So, from the teacher's point of view, this would be the first slide you could come to. If you were presenting these throughout a semester, you could go to the week you wanted to present and click on it. For starters, we're going to do the introduction on week 1. So this will take us to week 1. So, welcome to the airport management simulation. The purpose of this simulation is to further aviation administration students in their airport knowledge and to help instill valuable safety concepts. Throughout the coming weeks, you will each experience several scenarios based closely off real-world events. Acting primarily as the airport manager for Wilson International Airport, you will respond to the situations using your knowledge learned during each week of class. The hope is that this simulation can train you to be the best safety professionals you can be, while still enjoying the learning process. There are a couple things you'll need to know about the simulation. The first thing is that there are 3 main resources in the simulation: energy, money, and airport satisfaction. Each week will feature a unique scenario. In each scenario, you'll have a specific number of resources required to complete certain actions. Using your available resources and airport knowledge, you'll make important decisions that will affect Wilson International Airport. However, you must be careful. Some scenarios require large amounts of resources to complete actions and have multiple actions involved. It is very important to avoid running out of resources. When a resource falls to 0, a strike is issued. As you can see up top, here are the resources I just mentioned. Because of macros in the PowerPoint, I can effectively adjust their numbers. So, strikes. It is important to always keep a point balance for each resource. Should you go into negatives in any category, except for bonds issued, the class will earn a strike from the Airport Board of Commissioners. After 3 strikes, you'll be effectively fired from Wilson International Airport, and the class will lose the simulation. In addition to getting a strike, the class will also need to provide a briefing for how they came to lose so many points. The class will also need to address any safety issues that occurred during this scenario and any possible solutions. Once the briefing is presented, the points in that defaulted category will be reset to 3. So, the purpose of this is to try and encourage students not to run out of money, not as much time, but airport satisfaction and money. This was done so that way students would make safer decisions, and also if they do end up making unsafe decisions, that if they default, they have to come forward with a safety briefing as to how they can improve. So ultimately, throughout the simulation, it's talking about many ways to instill safety in students. So there are 2 ways. Now we're going to talk about how to earn money and energy. There are 2 ways to earn money and energy in the simulation. You can earn them for making certain decisions within the airport, or you can buy points during decision phases. During decision phases, Wilson International Airport can issue bonds to help increase funding at the airport. Each bond that is issued will increase the bonds issued counter, but will count off 5 points off your final score at the end of the simulation. This was never completed, but for a real simulation for students, we'd want to try and have them avoid issuing bonds. Each bond will issue 2 money. Energy represents time. Anytime At any time, 1 energy can be purchased for 2 money. This is because, theoretically, time is money. This was conducted so that way students would have a way to get money and get energy while also understanding the consequences in real life for what it takes to get money at an airport. All right, let's continue with a mock simulation. So we have a sample scenario here. You are running the airport at Wilson International Airport. You have a VIP passenger who's running late for their flight. How would you like to help them? You can utilize the golf cart, ask the airport ambassador, or inform TSA to skip a security checkpoint. Obviously, these two are a slightly safer answer than the first one, the bottom one. This is to give students different opportunities to experiment with what type of decisions they'd like to make. They can make unsafe decisions or safe decisions. Just for fun, let's do an unsafe decision. As you can see, because this is a introduction scenario, it's going to reveal all 3 answers. But since I picked C, I would lose 2 money, 2 energy, and 2 satisfaction. If I picked the other ones, it would have gone up. This is how the scenarios in this presentation work. Unlike this scenario, though, they are typically more realistic and they do relate to the topic. Now that we understand how the simulations work, let's get started with our first simulation. Oh, excuse me. Each of these scenarios are designed to be based closely to real-world events or practices. However, some scenarios have been modified for gameplay purposes and to add challenge and reward to the simulation. Each scenario can have multiple outcomes, and some scenarios can feature the opportunity for the class to provide a solution that is not listed. And then you begin the game. So, here we go. All right, so you are the airport manager for Wilson International Airport. You receive a report that Flyaway Airlines is returning to the airport to investigate a broken wingtip. A passenger had reported that the wingtip had appeared to be damaged and reported it to the flight attendant. Flight attendant passed this information along to the captain, and the decision was made to return to Wilson International Airport. Airport rescue firefighters, which stands for ARF, and other emergency personnel put on Alert 1 and staged for response during the landing. After a successful landing, Flyaway 326 taxis back to the gates to deplane and investigate the incident. A representative from Flyaway Airlines is currently dealing with the passengers in the terminal and arranging for hotels and new flights. They're asking for your help in investigating what could have caused this to happen and to release in a press statement. You decided to start reviewing the security feed of the gate that Flyaway 326 departed from. You find that one of the ground handling workers accidentally backed the food catering truck into the winglet. How would you like to handle the situation? So, we're going to the purpose of this scenario is to learn about the different departments within the airports. That's the topic for this week. As you can see, we have 3 different departments already listed. We have the airport manager, which is you, airfield ops, and ground handling services. The idea here would be to get students to use the most relevant one, which would be the ground handling, or you. However, the one that wouldn't be would be the ground handling, or the airfield ops team. So we're going to pick that one. As you can see, this has caused the students to suffer since they don't have the necessary skills or knowledge of that little field, of the ground handling field, to really confront the employee. If anything, this will cost money and time. So instead, you'll have to go speak to the employee. Now, there's 2 options here. You can choose a more gentle approach, or a tougher approach. Each one will have a different effect. We're going to take the gentler approach. So, what we would discover is that the employee will be using medical marijuana. And now it's our decision to decide what to do with the employee. All right, so what this scenario teaches here is a unique situation where students are exposed to an employee using medical marijuana on the airfield. Now, this is an ongoing debate in the airport industry if people are actually allowed to use this. This has been in some of the forums in my airport groups that I've been involved in. So there's a debate if, because it's allowed in the States, if it can be used on the airfield. However, it's still federal property. So this scenario really helps get students thinking about what kind of things they might be dealing with. And there's some good discussion points on here to kind of get the students thinking. All right, that's an example one scenario. We're going to continue on to the next one. Oop, not this one. We need scenario. We're going to bounce back. We're going to do scenario 4. So, for scenario 4, you receive an alarming report from airfield operations that 6 protesters have reportedly cut through the fence of the airport and have glued their hands to the runway. Air traffic controllers are frantically redirecting incoming aircraft. How would you like to respond? So you can have airfield ops who might already be on scene. You can have the firefighters. You can have the police department, or both. Now, as you can see, each decision has different amounts of money and points. It would be up for the students to decide what the best option would be. Each one has, again, different results. Police and fire department would probably be the safest option. Police might be good, or ARF might be good. We're going to go with just the police. So the police are able to handle the situation, so we'll get a point for that. Now, afterwards, we'll find out that a patrol car is going to go in front of the fence, and that the airport will need to be, something will need to be done to make sure the fence is secure. So if we come back for day 2, we currently have a 1/2-inch chain link fence surrounding the airport. We speak to a chain link fence contractor and provides us with the following. All these chain link fences and chain link fences with security cameras do come from real airport statistics and data. Students will have to decide, based off their resources, what type of fence they want, and they'll have to justify it, especially considering how expensive some of these are. Let's pick the 2-inch fence. As you can see, a few months later, protesters will come back again, and we will be successful in preventing it. Now, let's say we picked a 3/8 inch fence. Now, a 3/8 inch fence isn't as thick, and it doesn't look as deterring. In addition, there aren't any video cameras, so this isn't as safe of an option. So as we can see from this outcome, it does not work out very well. All right, lastly, we're going to head all the way back, and we will do the infamous scenario 8. All right, this is the week 8 scenario that was presented to the Aviation 361 class. So, we have an unsuspecting employee asking to show around students at an airport. Your PR team thinks it would be an excellent opportunity to increase airport satisfaction numbers. Here are the 3 teams. So, what students don't know is that this will end up being an insider threat. What insider threats are people who have inside information to who want to compromise the airport. So, of these 3 people, the people with the most insider threat training will probably be the PR team. But as you can see, it's the most expensive. Now, an airport intern wouldn't have as much insider threat training. So if we pick the airport intern, we'll find out that after the tour, the baggage systems will start to fail, and bags will be sent to random locations, and then a bag will get stuck, cause a fire, and cause minor structural damage. The terminal will be evacuated, fire department will show up, and then many flights across the United States will be canceled. Because of how big this event was, news networks are going to assemble and start to ask questions. Here are the facts. Some of these are facts, some of these are rumors. I put this in here to give students a chance to give a real press conference. It's important to always remember, if you have to give a press conference, not to give away the facts. So students are learning how to effectively keep the airport safe by not spreading false information and rumors. So if you head to the press conference, in the notes, we can't see it on here, but there would be points for the instructor to go over to award extra points to the students based off different discussion points they have. But this is how the scenario works. I really like this last scenario because it teaches students about insider threats. It's something that is not always featured. It's something that wasn't featured in the Aviation 361 curriculum, but this is the simulation that I created. If you have any more questions, just shoot me an email. Thank you.